It's from Isaiah 41:13. For I am the Lord your God who grasps your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not, I will help you. Can everyone can hear me? Okay? All right. There was a guy, and he had a daughter, and every year what he would do, he would take his daughter on a fishing trip, and it began to be like a tradition between him and his daughter. They would go on this fishing trip. He didn't have a son, so he made them, he took time with his daughter. So he took her on this trip, and this year was just the same as every other year. They began to have this tradition. What would happen was before he would head back into the pier, the daughter would jump out of the boat, swim a couple of yards out, and they would race back to the pier. So this year, they were fishing, had a great day of fishing, and he said to his daughter, well, baby, it's time to go back. It's time to go home. So his daughter looks at him, and he looks at his daughter, and he begins to smirk a little bit because he knows what's about to happen. His daughter jumps out of the boat, swims a couple of yards away, and he's laughing the whole time because he knows that his daughter's pumped up about racing him back to the pier. His daughter gets a couple of yards out, and she stops swimming and looks back at her dad. And her dad looks at her, and he's like, okay, baby, ready? And she's like, ready, set. He doesn't say it like that, but set, go. And the daughter starts swimming. Now this daughter is about 7 years old, and she's giving it her all. She's swimming with everything that she has inside of her. And the father's just leisurely rowing his boat back to the port because as a good dad, you want your daughter to win. So the daughter's giving it her all, and he's rowing slowly. And he's looking at his daughter the whole time. And while he's looking at his daughter this one time, he looks past his daughter and he notices that something rolls into the water. He says it's just probably a log, so he doesn't really pay much attention to it. The daughter's swimming with all that she has inside of her, and he's rowing. And he looks at his daughter again and looks at the log that's a little bit further away from his daughter. And notices that the log is bobbing up and down in the water. Then he looks a little bit closer at the log and notices this, and us in Florida, we can recognize this. He notices that the log has eyes, and then he realizes that the log is not a log. The log is an alligator who just got into the water with his daughter. So she's swimming with everything that she has inside of her, and he's rowing. He sees the log, knows that it's an alligator, and begins to scream at his daughter. Baby, come back to me. Come closer to me. Come back to the boat. Come on. But the daughter's swimming with everything that she has inside of her, and she can't really hear what her father is saying. And we all know that sometimes we get distracted by the things that we're doing, or if any of us have really raced someone in swimming, we know that we cannot always hear what the other person is saying. Same thing with this 7-year-old girl. So she's swimming, the father's screaming. And in his mind, he's trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do to save my daughter? He looks further and he notices that the alligator, he can't see it anymore. And then terror comes into his mind because he doesn't know what's going to happen next. He realizes that his only hope is to get to the pier before the alligator gets to his daughter, and before his daughter gets there, so that if he gets to the pier, he can grab his daughter and pull his daughter onto the pier, and they will all be safe. So he starts rowing frantically. His daughter's swimming, doesn't know anything that's going on around her. He gets to the pier, and he jumps onto the pier, and he's screaming at his daughter. He's like, baby, come, hurry up, come to daddy, hurry up, go faster. And the daughter's swimming and kind of laughing at the same time because she has no idea what's happening. The daughter gets to the pier, and the father grabs the daughter's hands and pulls her onto the pier. And right as he pulls her out of the water, that's when the alligator jumps up, lunges, and grabs the daughter's legs. And then the tug of war begins. The father's pulling the daughter, the alligator's pulling the daughter. So this is going back and forth. And I shouldn't say tug of war, but that's what's going on. The father's pulling the daughter, the daughter's trying to get out of the water, the alligator's trying to pull the daughter back into the water. So a couple of minutes passes, 2 minutes pass. 3 minutes pass, 4 minutes pass. At this point, the 7-year-old girl has no more strength inside of her. She's tried to pull her legs away. She tried to, get away from the alligator, but she cannot get away. She has no strength inside of her. She looks at her dad, hoping that her dad has enough strength to get her to safety. The dad's pulling her, trying to get her back onto the pier, and he's screaming at the same time. A couple of people come by and they end up helping the father get the daughter out of the water. He pulls his daughter onto the pier. The alligator's gone away, and he notices this, that her legs are shredded because of what the alligator's teeth had done to his daughter's legs. They go to the hospital, and everything gets a little bit better. You know, they graft the skin back to her legs, and, you know, they give her blood transfusions and everything. A couple of days pass, and the daughter is beginning to heal pretty well. After the whole ordeal happened, you know, they go back to their friends and their family members, and they welcome them back home. They go back to church, and the church welcomes them back home. You know, they tell the story of what happened with the alligator trying to take her life. And, you know, at the end of the church, everyone's congratulating the dad. Everyone's walking to the dad and hugging the dad and say, you know, you're such a great father. You're such a great man to have enough strength to pull your daughter onto the pier. You're so amazing that you didn't give up on your daughter. People are going to the daughter because they love the daughter, and they're hugging her and saying, we're so glad that you're here. We're so glad, you know, that it didn't end in tragedy. Now, at the end of the service, this one older lady goes up to the daughter and asks the daughter, she says, sweetheart, can I see your scars? And the daughter's like, 7-year-old daughter, you know, she's pumped up. She's hyped up about having scars. She said, okay. So she lifts up her pant leg, and she shows the older lady her scars. And the woman looks at her scars. She kind of goes back a little bit, and she tells the little girl, yeah, those are pretty awful scars. And the girl says, yeah, I know. And then the girl looks at the older woman and says this, but do you want to see my cool scars? And the older woman's like, cool scars? So she kind of pacifies the young girl. She says, yes, let me see your cool scars. So the little girl rolls up her sleeves, and on her arms, you see these claw marks on her arms. And the older woman says, what are those scars from? The little girl goes to explain her cool scars. She says this, these are my cool scars. You see, the scars on my legs, that's when the alligator came and wanted to take my life away, wanted to kill me, wanted to take me to death. But these scars are scars from my dad, when my dad wouldn't let me go. The claw marks in her arms were from the father's hands, when my dad wouldn't let me go. When something wanted to take me to death, but my dad wouldn't let me go. And he brought me back to life. And I tell you this story because of this. All of us in this chapel have those quote unquote cool scars. Maybe we don't realize it right now, but we all have it. There are moments in our lives when we want to give up on everything, and we feel that everyone has given up on us. There are moments in our lives when things seem very dark. And it seems like we're at the brink of death, and we're ready to give up because we think that we have nothing left in our life. But the reality is this, we're here right now because of those cool scars, because there was someone who gave his everything for us. When we wanted to let go, when we felt that everyone had given up on us, when we felt that we had nothing left and everything seemed dark, there was someone who would not let us go, whether we realize it or not. And the one thing that person asks, the one thing that God asks of us is to recognize that and respond to that gift. To respond to the fact that he's held on to us. And just as he's given his all to us, to give ourselves back to him. That's the challenge. That's the call. That's the gift. That's the grace. The fact that even though people around us have given up on us at times, that God has never and will never give on us. He's still holding us, even though it may seem dark right now and none of us will share it with anyone else. Even though it may seem dark right now and we feel that we have nobody, we still have a Father who sees us in our situation. And even though we may want him to let us go, he says this, I'll never let you go. Let's pray. In the name of the Father,